I have been deceived. Ever since I could walk, I have been told that self-discipline is simply a matter of willpower, that you just have to push harder when you feel lazy, get up at dawn and make lists, as if some superficial organization could root out the rot that has taken root at the core. But the hard truth is this: self-discipline is not an occasional spurt, nor is it a magical motivation that suddenly appears in the morning. Self-discipline is a battle, an internal war, and in this war, either I control my mind like a prince commanding his army, or my weaknesses will crush me. Most people drag out their existence like decaying cities, caught up in their own desires, undermined by their own chaos, easy prey to the first temptation. They do not realize that without strategic discipline, there is no freedom, no power, no victory. Those who do not impose order on themselves inevitably become slaves to chaos. Niccolò Machiavelli, one of the most misunderstood thinkers in history, understood this better than anyone. While many talk about positivity or self-confidence, Machiavelli looked at human nature with cold, surgical precision. He understood that the world will not reward good intentions. It will reward discipline. It will celebrate those who, even under pressure and in an environment of disorder, are able to maintain control. For Machiavelli, discipline is not a moral choice or a beautiful ideal. It is a matter of survival. Without discipline, both king and peasant are doomed to the same fate: death. Here is the cruelest truth. When I cease to rule over myself, I surrender the keys to my destiny to someone else, to another force, an impulse stronger than my feeble will. Life, like a throne, is never empty. Either I take my place with absolute power, or I am ruled. If I think that discipline is simply getting up early on the days I feel like it, or that desire alone is enough to keep me on course, I am mistaken. This is not a speech for those who seek comforting advice. It is addressed to those who are ready to take the strict responsibility for their own formation, like a blacksmith forging a sword. True discipline requires constant vigilance, strategic planning, constant self-control. It requires that I build an inner fortress where luck has no power and chaos finds no breach. Today I will understand why Machiavelli regarded discipline as a state secret, as an essential basis for power. And if I have the courage to apply what I have learned, I will never be the same again. Machiavelli wrote not to please fools, but to instruct strategists, to arm the minds of those who would face the harsh realities of power. When we consider discipline from a Machiavelli perspective, we must cast aside childish illusions about willpower and motivation. For Machiavelli, discipline is structure, it is strategy, it is survival. Without it, even the most promising man becomes easy prey to forces he cannot control. In The Prince, Machiavelli writes, "As the good structure of armies is the source of good order in states, so discipline is that which enables a city or an army to withstand adversity." He makes it clear that without discipline, no city, no army, no man can withstand adversity. The external order, the stability of a state, is but a reflection of the internal order. There is no true dominion for those who are slaves to their impulses. There is no true power for those who do not govern themselves. Machiavelli saw clearly, discipline is not a temporary accessory, it is a permanent armor. It is what helps a ruler to remain resistant to the temptation to act under the influence of anger, fear, or vanity. It is the ability to maintain strategic thinking even when everything around screams for the need for impulsive decisions. An uncontrollable prince, according to Machiavelli, is more dangerous than his enemy. He will be destroyed not by an external enemy, but by internal flaws that he refuses to correct: rash actions, reactivity, lack of preparation. Discipline is not something that is practiced only on convenient occasions. It must become a habit, like the continuous strengthening of a wall that protects against destruction. Machiavelli viewed man as a vulnerable nature, subject to corruption by desire, pride, and fear. Only through constant vigilance can one resist the destructive forces within oneself, and one should not think that this applies only to rulers. Anyone who seeks to control their destiny must apply the same internal discipline. If I do not control my mind, it will control me by circumstances, by emotions, by external impulses. And those who are controlled by it are already politically dead. They have not yet fallen, but their spirit is already in ruins. Machiavelli compares the human spirit to a battlefield, where discipline is the only difference between triumph and destruction. And it is this image of internal warfare, how to conduct it with the discipline of a true commander, that we will consider next. Imagine an army without training, without strategy, without obedience to orders. What do I see? Inevitable slaughter, wholesale extermination. No spontaneous courage will save soldiers who do not know how to resist panic, endure fatigue, control their instincts in the face of terror. For Machiavelli, this is precisely the reason for the failure of mercenary armies and weak states, the lack of true discipline. In his discourses, he writes, "The orders of a wise captain are not obeyed by disorganized soldiers." This is not just a military observation, it is a profound psychological principle. If my mind is a disorganized army, none of my decisions will make sense. Promises, goals, intentions, all will collapse if my thoughts and emotions do not learn to obey. Military discipline is the key to victory. It enables smaller forces to dominate larger ones, the weak to overcome the strong. A small, well-trained army is stronger than a disorderly mob. Likewise, within me, a few disciplined thoughts are more powerful than endless, conflicting desires. True power lies not in the number of ideas, but in the ability to manage them. I ask myself an honest question. How many times have I failed, not because of lack of ability, but because of lack of self-control? How many times have I broken promises to myself, not because of inability, but because I allowed fatigue, fear, or doubt to take over? Like the foolish general who lost the battle before it even began, I lose the internal war when I abandon discipline. Machiavelli teaches that discipline is not just waking up determined, no matter what your mood. It is following strategies even when your body demands rest and your mind wants to give up. Only those who do not retreat in the face of difficulties on the road win. He knew that battles are won not only by force, but also by order, constant attention, and readiness for the unexpected. The same thing happens in my mind. The modern world praises feelings and despises discipline. But that is why many live defeated, blaming others or fate. Now I understand. To manage your life, you need to become a general of your inner army. I will train my mind as Machiavelli would train his troops, without mercy, without excuses, without compromise. Because on the battlefield of existence, lack of discipline is tantamount to a slow death. And if discipline is what breeds self-confidence, the inner strength that can shape destiny, then it is important to understand how Machiavelli contrasted faith and fortune, luck, skill, and chaos. This is what we will discuss further: how to conquer luck through the constant development of your virtue. If this material seems important to me, I will press the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. In Machiavelli's harsh and unvarnished perspective, destiny is not a just reward for good, but a blind, inexorable force, like a torrent that sweeps away unprotected cities. And here is a truth that few dare to face. If I am not strong enough to rule my life, the judge of fate rules me. Fortune is a capricious mistress. She smiles on the brave, scorns the weak. In The Prince, Machiavelli writes, "Fortune is like a turbulent river, which, when it overflows its banks, floods the plains, knocks down trees and houses, washes away the banks, and carries them one upon another. All flee before its fury. Nothing can withstand it. But though it is such, men do not cease, when the river is calm, to take precautions, to build dams and fortify the banks." This metaphor should be a wake-up call for me. The world is unpredictable, cruel, and indifferent to my dreams and promises. Those who hope for luck without preparation are doomed. Those who build internal dams, discipline, and will be able to weather the storm. This is where the concept of faith comes in. Not a virtue in the moral sense, but an inner strength. Faith is the ability to adapt, to act with strength, intelligence, and fortitude in the face of adversity. It is a strategy for shaping circumstances rather than being their victim. Faith can be compared to discipline in action. It is a manifestation of my ability to stand firm when everything around me is crumbling, to create opportunities out of despair, and to resist the childish habit of blaming luck for my failures. For Machiavelli, great men do not rely on luck. They invite it, use it as a tool, not an excuse. They build their dams in advance, fortifying their discipline before a crisis demands the impossible. They train their minds while others sleep, in the illusion that everything will eventually work out. Let me look at my life honestly. How many times have I waited for circumstances to improve on their own? How many times have I made excuses that it's too early or not now? Luck is unpredictable, but not omnipotent. Those who rely only on it are doomed. Those who develop virtue win. But how can we put this philosophy into practice? How can we stop being a puppet of luck and become the architect of our own destiny? We will talk about this further, about how to destroy modern illusions about discipline and why most people fail in their attempts to achieve it. Today, the word discipline has been replaced. It's been commodified, wrapped in self-help slogans, sold as an easy gimmick. Discipline is said to be automatic habits, apps, planners, spreadsheets, as if man's most ancient battle, self-management, could be solved with phone reminders and motivational quotes. This modern caricature is a crude lie. Machiavelli, if he were alive today, would mock this naivety. He knew real discipline is not comfort, it's pain. It's a declared war on the weakness, laziness, and cowardice within me. I fail because I've been trained to take the easy way out. I've been told that if I just found the right habit, everything would work out on its own. But real discipline is born of confrontation, not comfort. It's not about waking up inspired. It's about doing something despite the fatigue, despite the desire to give up. Machiavelli teaches, those who wait for the perfect moment have already failed. Preparation must be done in calm days, not in storms. Discipline is built in silent battles, in those moments that go unnoticed. Inner growth occurs in invisible battles, where true strength is forged. But the modern mentality accepts failure as normal, as part of the process. I am told to forgive myself, to reward myself for every little thing, as if life were a competition for self-esteem, not a struggle for survival. And while I make excuses, my potential rots from within. Modern discipline is emotions, mood, environment. Real discipline is structured. It does not depend on mood. It is a stone fortress in my mind. Those who wait until they feel ready, who wait for the perfect moment, live like cattle led to the slaughter, awaiting their fate. If I want to build a discipline capable of creating empires, I will have to do what most avoid. Abandon the illusion of comfort. Accept that pain is an integral part of it. See difficulties as part of the training. Transform the mind into a training ground where weaknesses are not tolerated but destroyed. If I have realized the seriousness of the situation, then the next step is how to step by step create a tough and strategic Machiavellian regime, one that will make my discipline indestructible. It is necessary to abandon empty theories. To win, you need to turn discipline into a tough daily practice. It is not enough to simply recognize its importance. You need to build a structure that eliminates the possibility of laziness, fear, and doubt. Machiavelli teaches, a wise ruler foresees disasters and creates defenses in advance. The same must be done with the mind. Create internal strategies before the battle begins. Waking up expecting the emergence of desire is defeat. My victory or defeat is decided in the first hours of the morning. Here is the method. Constant vigilance. Daily self-control. Every day, without exception, I examine my thoughts and actions. I imagine myself as a commander inspecting his army before battle. Where are the gaps? When do emotions take over? The slightest laziness, excuse, or distraction are the cracks through which the enemy will penetrate. My inner fortress is a castle that needs to be strengthened daily. Clear routine strategies that eliminate the need to make decisions. My brain is a lazy strategist. It will always choose the path of least resistance. Every doubt is an expenditure of energy. Machiavelli teaches that in uncertainty, those who hesitate lose. So I create strict routines, fixed times for getting up, working, training. I do this not as a punishment, but as part of my identity. For example, if I wait for the best time to train, I do not train. If I make training a mandatory part of the day, it will happen. Relentless reinforcement. Real consequences for failure. In reality, failure cannot be ignored. It is a matter of life and death. It must be clear to my mind that if I do not adhere to the regime, there is an immediate cost. For example, a public promise. If I do not fulfill it, I will do something unpleasant. This will create an inner core. War is not about rewards. It is about preventing disaster. A soldier does not choose to run 5 kilometers in the rain. He does it because he knows that failure means shame and expulsion from the army. My mind must work the same way. I will remember, knowledge without action is cowardice. Many will hear these words, feel their truth, but return to a life of excuses and procrastination. They will remain slaves to their impulses. But some, a few, will make the choice to become the commander of their destiny. Take responsibility for building discipline not as an ornament, but as an indestructible mechanism that supports their entire life. Machiavelli taught that governing a state without discipline is the path to disintegration. The same applies to governing one's own life. My mind is my territory. My habits are my troops. My decisions are strategies of war. Either I am the prince of my destiny, or I am a prisoner. There is no middle ground. I will not think that I have time. The time is now. As long as I have strength, I will strengthen the walls of the inner fortress. I will cultivate discipline not for pleasure, not for approval. I will do this because in this lies my life, my future, my freedom, and greatness.